Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be doing a page in my Dilutions journal using collage rice paper prints. So I'm starting off on a plain page and just going nuts with matte gel medium, and I'm doing some collage in the background. So I've got an old poetry book and I'm just tearing up the pages and gluing them down in just a random way, making sure they're all going different different directions. Sorry, I can't get my words out. And having some of those blank spaces and some of the text. I know I'm going to be adding colour over the top of this, so I'm really not worried that there are those blank spaces. It's just to add some random pattern and texture in the background. So you can see me sort of tearing off little bits just to fill up any of the gaps. And then I'm going back over and sealing this all again, just to make sure that I don't have any floating bits of paper popping up over my image when I'm finished. So while I want it to have that texture of the different layers, I still want it to be relatively flat. Once I've done that, I'm just heat setting it just to make sure it's dry. And then I'm going to go in with some of my Dilutions paints and paint over the background. Now this range of Dilutions paint was one of the last releases that she brought out with the more pastel colours. So I think it's Peony Blush, Vanilla Custard, Mushy Pea, Rose Quartz, and Laid Back Lilac, and Periwinkle Blue. I was going to say London Blue, but Periwinkle Blue. So it's sort of pastel-ish colours. You can also see on the other side, I'm just cleaning off my brush onto that. That's going to be a use it up page that I can use in the future. It's a background that's kind of already done, or at least I can collage over it and not worry about it. I quite like in my journals to have not white pages. If it's already got something on it, I'm less concerned about what I'm going to do over the top of it. I don't think, I just do. So I'm just going in and putting the blue in as a bit of contrast. It's a slightly brighter colour, and it just adds into what you're doing. The good thing about the Dilutions paints is that they are quite thin and they do dry quite quickly, so you can layer over the top of them. A lot of those colours, if I sort of put them on wet and wet, could have sort of made muddy colours, but because they dry quite quickly, that's okay, you can layer them up. You would have also noticed that I sort of didn't go in the same order across the page. I do a bit at the bottom, then a bit at the top. So by the time I went down to the bottom again, it would already be dry. So now I'm just going in with some stamps just to add again some bits and pieces to the background. This is just a text stamp from Prima, and this is the image that I'm going to collage over the top. So it is a rice paper collage piece from Stamperia. And basically, like all collage papers, once you put gel medium on it, it goes mostly translucent. But the nice thing about the rice paper is it does have a texture to it, so you do get these little bits of opaqueness coming through it, so it gives it a little bit more texture than you would normally have. Because I decided I wanted the background to be a little bit more interesting, I've got these floral sets, again a set of Tim Holtz stamps, and I'm using the Tim Holtz archival ink range, and kind of matching up the colours. So I'm stamping blue on blue, purple on purple, pink on pink, and so on. Again, you're not going to see much of this with the collage over the top, but it's just adding that little bit of extra detail, a little bit of extra colour in to what you're working on. I'm also using archival ink, which is a permanent ink, because again I'm going to be covering this page with gel medium, so I don't want the ink to smudge. So it's really important that if you do use something that you're going to glue over like I'm doing now, certainly not using dye ink, because that's going to water activate again. Make sure you've got a permanent ink or a hybrid ink that will work. So I'm just stretching the collage over the top, and you can see what I meant about having that little bit of texture. You can see those slightly white silvery bits through it, which will stay there. So it won't go completely translucent, but it will certainly blend in with the background. So this is a beautiful image, and I love using, because I'm not very confident with drawing myself, it's a skill I'm working on, I love having these images that I can incorporate into my artwork, certainly do the backgrounds for them and lay it over the top so it looks as if it's been drawn by me. So I've sealed over the top of this, and you can kind of see it's translucent, getting more translucent as it seals. I'm going with the Stabilo Oil Pencil, which is a water activated pencil, and just drawing in some lines just to give that sort of floaty nature back. Now the beautiful thing about the Stabilo Oil Pencil is because it is water activated, and you can see this here, you can start getting really beautiful shadows as soon as you activate it. It's a really, really easy way to get sort of painterly lines without doing very much, and it really does make the image then look more hand-drawn. I suppose the hand of the artist have been on it. Even if it's not originally mine, it's just adding something to the final piece, and also giving it, again, a little bit more shading and shadow so it looks a little bit more incorporated into the page. So Stabilo Oil Pencil is a great tool to have in your toolkit, and it's great for doing cheats like this and getting really easy shadows. The next thing I'm applying around the edges is some Inca Gold wax, just to sort of give a vignette look around my image. And the wax sort of catches on the rice paper because it's still got a texture to it. It catches and just gives beautiful shimmers to it. It's brilliant through hair, just to add again some detail and some shine, and you can see the texture sort of being highlighted by adding that wax. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I just got some of these new waxes from Finnabair, and I just wanted to add a little bit more colour to my figure. So I decided that I would just with my finger pat on using the wax onto what I think are flower petals on her dress, just to add a little bit more colour. And again, I like how it picks up the colours from the background as well. So then I decided, because I did think that they were kind of flower petals, that I would add in some green sort of to highlight some leaves. And you can see I'm not being very careful with it. I'm just using the pad of my finger and patting it down. But because the lines are there and the wax is sort of going on mostly opaque, translucent, sorry, you can sort of see everything. You haven't lost any detail. If I tried to use acrylic paint to do that, I would have lost the beautiful detail and line work of the image. So be really careful of what you're going to use. If you're going to use watercolor, that would be great. Make sure that you've got your page well sealed before you do that, or at least stuck down your page, because again, adding too much water to the rice paper may help it sort of fall apart a little bit. So just be aware that you don't want to saturate it too much. So around the edge of my page, again, just to give it that finished vignette feel, I've gone around with Stabilo Oil Pencil again and just softened the line slightly with a wet paintbrush. And that just sort of frames the page. Now, I'm so used to working in double pages, it's quite unusual for me to do a single page. So it looks a little bit out of place, particularly with the other page not being done and still being half finished. But I was really loving how this came together. The reason this page came apart, and you will see, I think, another image like this in my videos coming up in the future. I did a canvas very similar to this, but in the backgrounds, instead of using acrylic paints, I used the Distress Oxides, which looked beautiful at the time, but because I didn't really think about it, obviously when I put the gel medium over the top, it reactivated them and they bled through. It looked really nice in the end, but it didn't have that beautiful effect that I had in the beginning. So that's why I wanted to recreate this page using acrylic paints. The final thing I've got in this page is the quieter you become, the more you can hear, which is some little stickers from Finnabair Prima. Quite like the Tim Holtz small touch stickers, just a different set. This is the final piece. I hope you enjoyed watching it and have a go. Thank you so much, and until next time, bye for now.